Jon Stewart didn't step onto the stage looking like someone about to deliver a punchline. He walked out carrying a single note card.
I'm the only president to take a cognitive test. You know, the first question is very easy. It's a lion, a giraffe, a bear, and a shark. They say, which one is the bear?
You're the only president to take the cognitive test. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that you're the only president that happens to?
Why would I disavow? Guy calls you a genius. Is anybody going to disavow? We don't disavow. And my Republican opponents said, you have to refute that. I said, I'm not refuting it when somebody calls me a genius. Why would I refute it? Why the hell would I refute that? Guy calls you a genius, you're not going to disavow. Do we agree? Only a stupid person would disavow, not a genius. No genius would disavow being called a...
It looked far too small to hold the argument he was about to make. Behind him, the screen played a montage of Donald Trump describing his own intelligence, speaking about his IQ, memory, instincts, cognitive exam, and doctors who, according to him, were impressed by how mentally sharp he was. Jon allowed the clip to run uninterrupted. Trump smiled, gestured toward the audience, and once again declared that he had aced the cognitive test. Stewart waited until the video ended before turning to the camera. Then he said, "A cognitive screening isn't an IQ test. It's the fire alarm, not the architecture degree." The audience erupted. That was the first major laugh. Stewart never called Trump unintelligent. He didn't invent grades, medical records, or stories from the past. Instead, he focused on a distinction Trump often blurred. A cognitive screening measures functions such as memory, attention, language, and recognition. It can be an important medical tool, but passing one does not establish extraordinary intelligence, wisdom, leadership ability, or exceptional judgment. Jon calmly placed the note card on his desk. He then replayed the portion of the clip in which Trump described identifying animals during the assessment. Lion, bear, alligator, squirrel. Stewart paused the video and smiled. "Congratulations, you successfully identified the squirrel. Democracy lives to see another day." The studio burst into laughter. For many viewers over the age of 65, the joke immediately resonated. Many had seen loved ones undergo similar memory evaluations, and some had taken those screenings themselves. They understood their medical purpose, which made Trump's repeated presentation of the test as proof of genius seem unusual. Stewart wasn't making fun of cognitive assessments. He was making fun of turning one into a campaign talking point. He then displayed 3 words on the screen: test, trophy, insecurity.
Standards is a very standard test, but very tough around those last 10 questions. Not too many people, even in this very room, unlike Newsom, I'll say, this room of geniuses. He said, I'm in a room of dumb people. That was not good. That was not good. You know what happened to him after that? It wasn't a pretty... But
Stewart explained that the test served a medical purpose. The trophy represented the political symbolism Trump attached to it. And the insecurity, Stewart argued, explained why the public kept hearing about it over and over again. That became the segment's second major point. He suggested that Trump's habit wasn't simply exaggeration, it was repetition followed by escalation. An ordinary crowd became the largest crowd in history. A phone call became perfect. A routine cognitive screening became evidence of exceptional brilliance. A simple accomplishment became proof that everyone else lacked intelligence. According to Stewart, ordinary events kept being transformed into legendary achievements until the stories became almost comedic. An imagined Trump response then appeared on the screen, describing Stewart as washed up, jealous, weak, untalented, and no longer funny. Jon read the fictional statement without changing his expression. He lowered the page and remarked, "Well, I guess that answers the emotional stability section." The audience laughed again. But Stewart quickly shifted the tone. Leaning toward the camera, he continued, "The real test was never about intelligence. It was about composure. Someone who is secure can hear a joke without treating it like a crisis. A confident leader can acknowledge that a cognitive screening isn't the same thing as an IQ exam. A mature adult can simply say, 'I passed. Great. Now let's get back to talking about the country. Instead, Stewart argued, Trump often transformed corrections into personal battles, ordinary questions into insults, and comedy into national controversy. The room gradually fell silent. Then Stewart delivered the line that stopped the audience in its tracks. If you have to keep reminding everyone you're the smartest person in the room, maybe the insecurity isn't coming from the room. For a moment, no one reacted. Then the applause rolled through the studio. Stewart waited before continuing. He argued that the country does not need a president determined to win imaginary intelligence contests. It needs a leader willing to listen to experts without viewing expertise as a personal threat. Real leadership, he suggested, begins with recognizing that no one knows everything, and pretending otherwise can be dangerous. The applause returned, this time more measured than before. Stewart turned back toward the audience one last time. He argued that Trump's carefully cultivated image of genius often depended on dismissing anyone who questioned it. If a reporter challenged him, the reporter was labeled incompetent. If a judge ruled against him, the judge became corrupt. If a comedian mocked the claim, the comedian was suddenly irrelevant. According to Stewart, the pattern remained the same. Defend the image by attacking the person asking the question. He picked up the note card once more. Here's the one sentence that explains all of it, he said. Then he read it slowly. Real intelligence doesn't panic when someone asks for evidence. The audience erupted into sustained applause. By the end of the segment, Trump's repeated claims about his intelligence no longer sounded like confidence. Instead, Stewart framed them as the sound of someone trying to overwhelm difficult questions with sheer repetition.